Greetings, Inquisitors. I'm glad you found this holocron. We have a special guest today, Darth Vader, and we're going to talk about guilds and what does it take to be a good guild member. So, Vader, you want to talk a little bit about yourself? Tell people who you are?
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. I'm in a high-end guild, 326 million GP. We're doing 24 light side stars. We're doing 32 dark side stars, and my current GP is 6.83 million GP. And I've been a long time member, been about playing this game for about 5 years.
And you're actually a recruitment officer for your guild, if I'm correct?
That is correct. I do help the recruitment team.
All right, so we invited you along today to kind of go through some of the stuff that we're going to talk about with being a good guild member. And I think a lot of people feel like maybe they need a better guild, but are they ready for a new guild? And, honestly, maybe it's a fear that some people have. What if the new guild doesn't like me? Well, I mean, if you think of it this way, the worst thing they can possibly do is put you out of the guild and then you have to look for another guild. And there's plenty of guilds out there that are looking for good people. So if you're a good player, you'll be able to get a good guild. And we're going to help you understand today how to be a good guild member. First things first, you do need to find the right style of guild for yourself. We'll talk just briefly about that. You need to follow whatever rules the guild has set up. That'll get you kicked out faster than anything if they set up rules and then you just don't do it. You need to participate. Just in general, don't annoy other members, especially if they have a Discord and you start, posting annoying things or picking fights with people. That's not good. And, don't cause your guild to lose. What does that mean? Well, we're going to definitely talk about it. First thing I want to get out of the way is a style mismatch. A lot of guilds out there are trying to perform and they're trying to succeed and they want to do well in the guild events. And some people are just casual players. So let's talk about what it means to be a casual player. If you're a casual player, you're the kind of player who may or may not log on to the game every day. You're not looking to spend every single energy that you get every day. You're not hardcore about it. Some people don't like Discord. They don't want to be bothered by it. They don't want to learn it and go on there and find out all this Discord stuff. Some people don't pay attention to the guild quests and the guild style events, and they don't join when they're open. And if that's you, you're a casual player. And it's not wrong to be a casual player, but just understand if that's your style and you're just playing the game like it's a game and, whatever, I'll play when I play, then just be careful that you don't get into a serious guild because they'll probably put you back out. There's a lot of casual guilds out there that do the raids and the events at a pretty high level. You get 5 or 6 players out there that have been in a long time and they're able to solo the content in the game. And they just go crazy and they don't care who the last 25 people in the guild are. As long as they, can get their loot, they're helping other people, they're casual too. So just be aware of that. That's the first thing I want to say. So now let's go into the top 10 list, the top 10 ways to be an excellent member of your guild. First things first, Vader, what do you think of number 10?
600 tickets, 100%. This is the easiest part of the game that you can absolutely 100% achieve with the energy that is given to you by Capital Games. It is one of the biggest things that we look at as recruiters is even if you're a casual member, this is easily obtainable. So that's my personal opinion on 600 tickets. It's the one thing that will get you kicked out of any casual competitive guild by any means.
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know how to watch that, if you go into the objectives, the tab all the way over to the right is the guild activities. You click on that. Notice I've got it circled there in red. It says that it's energy and cantina energy. That means that mod energy and fleet energy don't count toward your 600 tickets. So you do have to use just regular energy and cantina energy. And I think you end up just short of 600. So you have to do at least one energy refresh on regular energy and you get it. But it's easy. I mean, everybody should be doing at least one energy refresh for something on regular energy anyway. So it's like we're saying, it's super easy to get, and it's kind of the baseline for your guild. Now, there is one very important thing to know about getting 600 tickets. Your reset time is not the guild reset time. So if you, like, let's say you do all of your quests late one night and then early the next morning you've reset and you do it again. If your guild reset hasn't passed, you won't be on the current day for the guild reset and you'll miss your 600 tickets. So always think about that. Think about your schedule of when you do your daily stuff and your energy refreshes, and make sure that the guild reset has already happened before you do that. And that way you'll always get your tickets. All right, number 9, participate in the daily objectives. Now, how big of a deal is this for your guild, Vader? Do people actually, require that people go in there and try to get 7 of 7 for the daily objective?
So now it really kind of depends. When it comes to these objectives, yeah, 100%, we do try to get at least 6 out of 7 because it does maximize the amount of currency you're getting. But the days you really want to focus on it is the days that you're just spending energy. So, like the example that you have in front of you is complete PvP attempts. If you're not a competitive player, you're never the amount of people that are actually going to complete this objective is very minimal. But the energy objectives are incredibly easy to achieve, especially when you're either galactic legend hunting or if you're just in a regular guild that's just getting 630k tickets a day.
Okay, so this is more at the player's discretion. And if you participate in these at least a little bit, they'll do light side energy, dark side energy, and cantina energy. And on those days, if you're going to do some cantina refreshes, do your cantina refreshes on that day. If you're going to, on the light side day, farm a little more light side. On the dark side day, a little more dark side. And it helps you, it helps the guild. So it's a way to encourage people to do the right thing. So number 8 is join Discord and communicate. And I reached out to quite a few guild leaders and guild officers, and I asked for their input, and this came up over and over and over again. People never speak up in Discord. And what a guild leader wants is they really want you to go on Discord and at least read what's going on. So if they set up a battle plan for the territory battle or territory war, they want people to read it. They want people to ask questions. So if they say, here's the way we want you to set up for this territory war, and you don't understand what they mean by it, just get in there and ask and say, hey, I don't understand what you want. I don't understand what Zone 5 means. Can you show me a map? And they would rather have you ask those questions and be able to clarify it for everybody than get in there and place a bunch of squads in the wrong spot and mess things up. So always ask up front, and don't find yourself trying to explain yourself later. Is that pretty much how it works with your guild too, Vader?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is huge. I mean, our community within Swgoh is huge, and there's so many resources on Discord, um, and things that people don't really see up front if they're just in game chat. This is 100% the way that any functional, high competitive guild, or even just a casual guild, functions. I mean, everybody has guild leaders and guild officers that 100% need to know that their members are going to follow what they're putting out there for them because it's their way of trying to achieve success.
Yeah, and I've said before, if you join the right guild, at least half the people are going to be smarter than you about the game. Get in there and use those people to learn more, to know more, and to do better. All right, number 7 is raid etiquette, and this is kind of a minor point. A lot of guilds, especially at the higher level, are sort of past this raid etiquette sort of thing. But at a lower level where people aren't on the sim mode, there are some rules sometimes around raid etiquette. And for example, if you've got a team that can completely clear the pit raid, they don't mind. Most guilds don't care if you clear the pit raid, but they'll say something like, yeah, clear it to the end and then just give it 20 minutes and then close it out. And that way it gives a window of time of about 45 minutes for anybody who wants to get in there and mess around and score some points to get better rewards. Those people have time to do it. If you get in there and you kill it in 10 minutes, then not many people get a chance to participate and get points on the board. So sometimes there's raid etiquette. Check on it, understand what it is for your guild. If they say, nah, we don't care, just get in there and swing, we don't, it's whatever, then it's fine to do that. But just check, especially, I would say, especially if you can complete the raid on your own. You just don't want to do that and leave everybody else where they can't compete. Any other thoughts on that, Vader?
Yeah, I mean, Biggest thing is as I've mentioned before, communication. Any guild leader, any guild officer, firsthand is going to tell you how they run and function things in their guild. So, I mean, nowadays it's really easy to just kind of sim and everybody gets the equal uh, reward distribution. But absolutely pay attention to this because this is important. This is something that can get you kicked out of something, especially if you enjoy your guild and you're not really paying attention to what they're asking you to do.
Yeah, good. Okay, so then we go to territory battles, and this is, I think, where some of the uncertainty people might have about what a guild really expects from me in territory battles. Territory battles happen in different phases, and each phase has three different parts. Now, if you're in a casual guild or if you're in a guild that's not trying to score the highest possible stars, this may not be relevant. But once you get into any guild that's doing dark side, light side, Geonosian territory battles, there's really an order that you want to follow. The platoon missions take priority. You want to follow any instructions that your guild has given about platoon missions. You want to donate as many characters as you can reasonably afford to fill those platoon missions because as you fill them, the combat missions will get easier and better for your entire guild. So you don't want to just throw a couple guys in the platoons and then do your battles for the day. You want to wait until those platoons get filled up and completed. The second part, you want to do your combat missions. And the third part is your deployment. And most guilds will want you to wait with your deployment until they see how well the battles go. And then you can decide whether you're going to be able to get 2 stars or 3 stars on a particular zone. Maybe you go for 2 stars. And maybe at the light side, at the higher nodes, they'll tell you, we don't want to star this at all. Like, don't deploy here till it gets 1 star, deploy until right before 1 star. Then the next day it'll reset and that same zone will still be open. So don't be the guy that the zone is labeled clearly, under 1 star, do not star this zone, and then you're the guy that deploys there and stars it. So that will really set a lot of people off. So 3 phases. First of all, platoons. Come back later when the platoons are filled and do your combat missions, and then come back later when the guild says it's okay to deploy and deploy your resources in the appropriate zone. Anything to add to that, Darth Vader?
Yeah, just one or two more things. This is huge. When people are asking for specific platoons, and there will be guilds that are out there, whether you're casual, mid competitive, or highly competitive, there's going to be guild officers, guild leaders that are going to ask platoons to be filled by specific people. This goes back to communication, and this is what my biggest thing is understanding where you stand on communication and the type of play that you're looking for. Because on my end, honestly, the biggest thing is understanding that we have three different types of phases, just kind of like how you did it: platoons, combat missions, special missions. The biggest thing is we have three different phases. We have an 8-hour platoon fill phase. We have a 12-hour combat mission phase, and then an 8-hour deployment phase. And if you miss any of those marks, it's a mark against you. So just make sure that you're kind of following the instructions. This is the biggest thing because platoons do affect every part of every phase as you progress further and as you get into more progressive combat missions in the later phases especially. This is important to pay attention to because you may be required to place a tune that you may not want to place, but in the end somebody that's higher than you and has a better equipped, better geared, or a better placed team altogether won't be asked to place those tunes like you will. So just keep that in mind. It's nothing against you. It's nothing personal. It's just what the guild needs at that point in time for whatever phase that you're currently in.
Yeah, so maybe you're frustrated that they told you to put your Bastila Sean Follett somewhere, but just put it there. Yeah, that's your job, right? Don't argue.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. All right. Good. So territory wars. This one has a bunch of bullet points on it, but a lot of them are the same bullet points. So I think this is funny, and we're going to talk a lot about this. So the first thing in territory wars, typically your guild is going to set up some kind of guidelines for deployment. There are tools out there that tell you where you're at, where the opposing team is at, what you can expect. And For example, maybe General Grievous is a good uh, team against your opponent, and they'll have an entire zone for the best General Grievous teams. And then behind that, they'll have a zone for the best Darth Revan teams. And then behind that, they'll have assignments for, a whole zone full of uh, Padmes or Jedi Revans or whatever it is. So it very well may be that your guild has a strategy that they're using and they're setting up specific teams at specific galactic powers. So follow that. If it's a zone that says 100K plus teams and you figure, wow, this team's 77K, it's good enough, and you throw it in there, that might upset people too, because there's somebody out there that's got a 130K version of that team that you just took that spot and made it easier for the enemy to beat you. So follow the rules as they're set. When you go to the offensive side on Territory Wars, do not preload turn meter. And that's the next 4 bullet points as well. And you can lose a territory war for your whole guild, but if you do this, especially if you do it multiple times during the same territory war, there are teams out there that are phenomenally difficult to beat if they already have the turn meter preloaded. So we're going to go through this and we're going to talk about what it means to preload turn meter. So the first thing is, let's have a definition. So if you go into a territory war battle and you pick your offensive team against their defensive team and you lose, any cooldowns that the opposing team has used are used up and they stay at that level. The game remembers, but it also remembers where their turn meter was. So instead of starting with 0 turn meter and having to fill that first turn, they start with anywhere between 10 and 100% turn meter. And as soon as the combat starts with the next player that goes in there, their whole team gets a turn before you get to go with any of your characters. And that can just be devastating. So be very careful of that. And the moral of the story is you typically aren't going to pick a team and just wing it expecting to lose. And people say, well, if I start to lose, then I'll forfeit. And I'm telling you, there's teams out there that if they get a hold of you, if they get away on you, they'll just take 17 turns in a row and you will never get another turn, and you can't forfeit if it's not your turn. And that happens to people all the time, and then you end up losing that battle with a turn meter loaded. Anything to add to that definition, Darth Vader?
No, I mean you pretty much hit it on the money. Just that is huge in territory wars. It can turn the tides on you winning to making you losing. So you definitely want to keep that in mind.
Yeah, so how do we avoid that? The simplest way to avoid that is by using airplane mode. And there's videos out there. I'm not going to make a video here how to use airplane mode. That information is out there. Seek it out, search it out, find it, look at it. But basically what it comes down to is right as you start the battle, you hit go, your team starts to go in, you minimize the game, and you just go on your phone settings and you turn on airplane mode. And that cuts the Wi-Fi to your phone. When you complete the battle, it'll say that there's been an error in communication, and it'll give you the opportunity to retry. So if you're winning and you get that and it comes up and it says, communication error, retry, then you just minimize it again. You reactivate, you take it out of airplane mode, get the communication going again, and you can just hit that retry, and it'll register your win just fine, like nothing ever happened, just like you had a momentary glitch in your internet. And so far, the Capital Games has never said that this is something that breaks the spirit of the terms of service or anything like that. So this is a completely legitimate thing to do, and I don't think there's anybody can get in trouble for this. So it's just deactivate your internet during the battle and make it a habit. Don't just do it in the questionable battles. Make it a habit to do it as you're doing any battle. And that'll save you a lot of grief and a lot of explanation to your guild. So last thing, if you fail, then you exit. You just quit the game and restart the game. And then, turn off the airplane mode and let the game restart. It'll show it as a loss. You will have lost that team because it'll still show that you engaged with the enemy. But it'll record it as a forfeit, and it'll show one loss, but there won't be any turn meter. And then somebody else can go in and try that team. Or if you've got another team that can beat it, do the same thing. Launch that team, put it in airplane mode, beat it, and register it. All right. The other thing, what if you kill a couple of enemies? Should you quit or should you let it register? So, just as an example, if you've killed major characters on the team, if you fought a Padme team and you killed Anakin and Kenobi, register it. That team is going to be fine. It's going to be easier to beat with only those three characters left. Nobody's going to yell at you for that. On the same team, if all you've beaten was Ahsoka Tano and Kenobi and Anakin are still alive, you're probably not going to want to register that because that one character and it not being one of the major characters in that team is not really going to make the team substantially easier, and they have turn meter loaded. So my rule of thumb is either if it's a team where there's one character that's really carrying the team and you kill that character, register it. Otherwise, you need to kill at least two good characters. Like in a Jedi Knight Revan team, if you kill Yoda and Bindo, fine, register it. You're good to go. It'll be an easy team to clean up. So that's what I would say. What's your opinion on that, Vader? What's an okay time to leave it for cleanup?
So, I mean, in all honesty, this is kind of an iffy topic. Anytime you go into a battle, you want to be 100% certain that you're going to beat this team. You want to make sure that you're either matching gear levels, making sure that mods match. But if you're just, just kind of going in it knowing that your team, you're so confident in your team, I believe that important key characters, kind of like how you mentioned, a good example, obviously, killing Padme or killing Daka on a Night Sister team, killing Gigi on a General Grievous team. But it's very hard to come by. So 100%, if you don't kill a key supporting character or a character that really makes the team work, 100% abandon it. Don't leave two or three characters alive unless you 100% know somebody can come behind you and clean it up efficiently.
Yeah, or better yet, clean up your own messes. If you've got a team that you know can clean it up, then it's fine. Register it, clean it up. And I mean, that's the approach that I take personally. If I leave a mess, I try to be the one that cleans it up because a lot of people, especially, sometimes you leave like one character and you don't want somebody else to have to waste a team beating one character. So, bring something in there, clean it up, clean up your mess.
100%. And definitely announce it. Let somebody know that, hey, I've made this mess. I'm cleaning it up. I beat the battle. And just let somebody know, because then at that point in time, we know we won't have to waste battles on something like that.
All right, good. And here's a little meme for you. This happens so often, and it is a big deal, and people are making memes about it. So you might see this in your guild chat at the start of a territory war. All right, number 4, build useful teams. So, I mean, the guild isn't often going to tell you exactly what to build. Most guilds are pretty casual about that. You can do whatever you want with your account. Basically, if you're building a good account for yourself, in some way it's going to be good for the guild. But there are some teams that are really good for a guild, and at a high enough level, you may be asked to build these teams. So if you're in a mid-range guild, let's say 200 to 250 million, and they say, hey, you don't have geos, you really need to build geos and get those Wat Tambor shards, that's something you have to respond to. And the geos are a good team. They're a useful team in a lot of different aspects of the game. So building a team that's good enough to get Wat Tambor shards may be something a guild will ask you to do. And if they ask you that, it's not unreasonable. If you're in a very high level guild, they may ask you to build a clone team for Ki-Adi-Mundi shards. So again, that's at the discretion of the guild and for you to talk out. There's other teams like Padme, Jedi Knight Revan, Darth Revan, even Commander Luke Skywalker Rebel teams. So some of these teams that are just staples are always going to be good for something. They're going to be good for territory battles and territory wars, clearing waves. And of course, any galactic legend that you build is also going to be a good team. So as long as you're building your account with reasonable teams that are helping the guild, I don't think it's any problem. But if you're constantly making a low contribution to the guild and somebody says, hey, we really need you to get this Padme team up and running because you're falling behind and you're not helping us anymore, then you should be open to that, and you should respond to it, and think about making something that's good for the guild as one of your next projects. Have you ever just outright asked anybody to build a team, Vader?
I have. Believe it or not, I have asked people to build specific teams. I mean, it comes with the competitive nature of the guild that I'm in. We're going to look at each roster and we're going to kind of make a determination. I kind of think of whenever you're recruiting or whenever you're asking people to join your guild, it's kind of like a job interview in a sense. You really want to kind of build a well-rounded roster, know what teams that people are going to be looking for. Obviously the biggest high focus points are going to be dark side territory battle, light side territory battle, and TW. So know what teams are meta. You can look at it everywhere. You know what teams are going to be meta. Just know if you're asked to do it, they're not asking you because they want you to be hyper competitive or do anything in a specific nature. They just want you to be a contributing member to their guild, and that's what it really boils down to. It.
Yeah, and if you don't have a Padme team and somebody tells you you should build a Padme team, it's an awesome team. So I don't think anybody's going to be out to hurt you with the kinds of teams they're going to ask you to build. All right, make your info accessible. And I'm just going to let you take this one from the top, Darth Vader. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. This is absolutely 100%. The biggest thing that I look at when we're recruiting, especially on our end, is make a swgoh.gg account. It is super simple, super easy to sign up with. It allows anybody that's looking for new members to basically pull all your information from in game and take a look at it and be like, hey, this guy fits my guild. Let me go ahead and contact him. Honestly, having a unique name, as it kind of mentions in the slide, it's really all dependent upon you. I mean, my name in game is Darth Vader 1, so it's not very unique. But I'm unique as a person, so it doesn't really matter that much. Um,
Well,
but just
if you had 7 people in your guild who were all trying to be Darth Vader, that would be different. So
you're not wrong about that one. Absolutely. um, the next thing on the list, recruiters will want to look at your account to see what you're doing. Have a plan built out for yourself. Anytime you apply for a guild, whether it's mid, casual, or high competitive, have a plan for yourself. Know what you're doing in game because it shows that you're the type of player that's going to go out of your way to actually have something set out instead of just going into, hey, I want to join your guild. Why? What teams have you have built? And you're just kind of talking to yourself saying, well, not entirely sure, to be honest with you. No guild's going to want to pick up a player that's generally confused, to be honest with you. Um, Teams, mods, honestly, it kind of boils down into having that plan. You really want to know what type of plan that you have. You want to build a very well, good foundation of mods. Not having mods on characters or meta teams is just going to make it look like you don't know what you're doing. And being focused, 100%. Loquid may disagree with me on this, but I hoard all my gear for meta characters. Like, for example, I'm farming tickets for Sith Eternal Emperor, and I have all of his gear from Gear 1 to Gear 13, and I'm ready to rock and roll as soon as I unlock him. So, have a focus, know what you're building, and have a plan for yourself, and that will make you more unique and more accessible to whatever guild that you're applying to, no matter the type of play that you give yourself, casual, mid, or high competitive.
yeah, so these are kind of pass fail criteria in a lot of cases, I think. So if somebody looks at your account and your galactic power is at 3 million and there's like no 6 dot mods, and you still got 4 dot mods on one of your characters on one of your main teams, a guild is going to look at that and say, well, this person either doesn't know how to mod the characters or doesn't care, one or the other. So as long as you've like paid reasonable attention to mods, and you look like you've got some kind of plan for mods, it's okay, fine, whatever. May not have the best mods in the world. It's not a quality check. It's just does the person pay attention to mods or not? And then, especially with the focus, what I think we want to say there is, if you have, again, let's use 3 million galactic power as a number, and you just have tons of characters that are gear 10, and like two relic characters, a guild's going to shy away from that. You know, they want to see, you know, two full relic teams and a bunch of other characters coming up. They want to see that you've put the focus in and built up finished teams by that galactic power. So that's a bit, I think, the input that I got from some of the other guys. All right,
Absolutely.
then number two, show up every time. So join the raids and the guild events. When it's a territory war, click join. You know, you got to get in there and do that. If you miss that window and you don't join and your guild gets 48 out of 50, they will single out the two people who didn't join and serve them a warning. So it's, you know, even so let's say you can't join. You're going to be on vacation with your family and you don't want to be bothered with the game, and that's good. That's reasonable. We should have balance in our lives and do things like that. So you just communicate with the guild leader ahead of time and you say, hey, I'm out for this territory war because I'm on vacation with my family. And the guild will go, okay, good. We don't, yeah, fine. Wish you were here, but we understand. So there's ways that you can communicate if you really can't make it, but just not showing up is really not an option. You know, if you're in a serious guild, you really have to join and be part of this. Make your contribution, and this means the challenge tier rancor. A lot of guilds now really want to see people in the challenge tier rancor. And right now, there's a lot of people that are a little bit afraid to participate. They don't really understand how to get a good score. They don't want to embarrass themselves by doing three teams and getting 300,000 across three teams. And I get that, but just be aware that the Rancor is it's a serious thing. You know, people want to get Relic 8, and good guilds need everyone to have at least one or two teams that can score. And it doesn't even have to be high. It can be 1%, 2%, you know, 500,000 still helps the guild. So if you got a team that does 300,000 and a team that does 500,000, that's something. You're doing your part, you know. So think about that. Show up every time, click the button, and you know, don't be afraid to get in there and get your hands dirty. The only way you're going to learn to do the Rancor raid is by doing the Rancor raid. You're not going to get better by watching videos and trying to tune your mods according to what some guy on YouTube told you. That will help, but until you get in there and click the buttons and see how it works, I don't think you're going to understand and get your teams tuned right. So get in there and get her done. Any comments on that, Vader?
No, not really. Be 100%. You hit all the things on the mark. It's progress for you. So the more progress you make, the better you are gonna do for your guild, and the better your guild's gonna do in turn.
Is your guild looking at the challenge tier rancor as a requirement now?
We are. We have a couple of requirements. Challenge Rancor teams are gonna be one of them, and then also having one galactic legend or building at least a second one, or having two and building a third one. So it really just kind of narrows down based on what we actually decide on. We're actually changing our requirements here.
Okay, interesting. All right, the last one. I'll start it out, but then I'm going to turn it over to Vader because I think this is something that he's passionate about. Don't be invisible. You know, if you join a guild and you just say, well, okay, you know, I'll just be in the background here doing my thing, I don't think that's really, you're missing out a huge part of the fun that there is to be had in this game. Because there's a lot of good people, a lot of cool people on the Discord, on the, you know, in the game itself. And if you're just invisible and in the background, you're missing out on the social aspects of being in a guild. So just a few things that you can do, you know, ask questions in the Discord, just, you know, throw in a joke one day and you know, see if people laugh at it. When somebody unlocks a galactic legend or something and it comes up in the chat in the in game, you just say, "Hey, you know, good job, whoever. You know, congrats on getting that galactic legend unlocked." You know, just so that people see your name and they know that you're out there and that you're a part of the social aspect of the game. So, what do you got to say about this one, Vader?
I am 100%, in agreement with what you're saying right there. Being invisible is the worst thing for you. Because we all know that real life happens, and to be honest with you, being an officer, and I've been an officer for quite some time now, being invisible, not responding, kind of not really hitting the milestones that we as a guild need you to hit, because it's a 50-man team. You got to think that your one less contribution is affecting 49 other people. So we're asking you to do these things. We're asking you to participate. This isn't one of those school events. This is something that if you absolutely 100% enjoy, be involved, be integrated with the community that's here, because it wouldn't have been around as long as it has without the community that we have today. So 100%, because we're going to get rid of the people that don't communicate. Like, hands down, if you're not communicating, you're missing things, you're missing territory wars. Well, those things add up, and those are the people we get rid of first. And there's a lot of intelligent people, as you've mentioned. There's a lot of people that are, super intelligent and aren't YouTube or content creators. So keep that in mind. You can find all the information that you need on YouTube, but you 100% need to know that there are a lot of intelligent people and a lot of resources on Discord. And being camaraderie with your team members makes you that much more useful as a guild member.
Yeah, so that's a perfect segue to the last comment, and we talked about this a little bit before. If somebody reaches out to you and says, "Hey, I was thinking maybe you should work more on your clone team or something like that," listen, just say, "Oh, tell me more. Why? Why should I do that?" And people aren't out to hurt you. They're not out to like step on your head and get you under their control or anything like that. I mean, there's a lot of people that just want to help you. So if somebody in your guild says, "Hey, I was looking over your roster, I want to talk to you about it," just take it as an opportunity to learn, assume that they're trying to help you, and that'll get you a long way. So that's the top 10 list, right? 600 tickets a day, pay some kind of attention to the daily guild objectives, be in Discord asking questions, follow the raid etiquette if there's any, follow the TB rules, don't preload turn meter in territory wars, build a focused roster and work on useful teams for your guild, make yourself accessible, have your account available on swgoh.gg, join all of the guild events, and don't be invisible. And these rules, the higher you go in galactic power, the stronger of a guild you get yourself in, the more of these rules are applicable. But for anybody at any level, I would say start practicing these things as soon as you can, even if you're at 130,000 or 130 million galactic power guild. Start practicing these things now so that when you apply for that higher level guild and you take that next step, you can tell people, "Hey, I know what it takes to be a good guild member. I'm your guy. Get me on in there." Any closing thoughts?
No, absolutely. I definitely agree with everything that you've said. It's been a enjoyment being on the video with you, and I appreciate you inviting me.
Well, I was glad to have you on. I appreciate all of the stuff that you're doing for our Discord. For anybody who's not over there, Vader's one of the people that helped build the Discord. It's an awesome community, really awesome. You can go over there, you can laugh, have fun, tell jokes, you can ask questions to get help, you can, you know, talk about serious topics, whatever you want to do. There's a channel for you over there, and we've got a great community of people. And Darth Vader's one of them. He's helped a lot of people and will continue to do so. So really appreciate having him on the video. Remember to like this video if you haven't already. Take out your like sabers, pass it directly through the like button, utterly annihilate that thing for me. I sure would appreciate it. And I will see you in the next holocron.